Namaste, all you mystical minds. Welcome back for another video. This one is on Vedic wisdom, and I will be diving into boundary setting and teaching you how to wave your no wand if you don't know how to do that already. Sonka. I'm a Vedic astrologer and Vedic wisdom consciousness coach, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, you're welcome to check out the content that I put on my page. You're welcome to like this video if you find value from it towards the end, and you're welcome to share it if you find it helpful with others. So let's dive in. So boundary setting, I believe that in the climate that we find ourselves in, currently when I'm filming this, it's October 2021. And from a Vedic perspective, a lot of the lessons that are coming out this month are around relationships, differences in opinion, fears, and learning how to come into the heart and compassionately hold space so that we can all have healthy, different opinions. But when we find that someone in your environment is being disrespectful towards you, or vice versa, you being disrespectful towards them, and a boundary needs to be set, this is why this video is being made, to talk about that. So I wanted to start off with an example. In the last couple of years, I've gone through heaps of changes. I'm in the last trimester of my Sadhisat 7.5 years Saturn movement over your moon period, where lots of shifts and changes that are bigger than your Saturn return period happen. If you're into Vedic astrology, if you're not, don't stress about it. But basically what I'm saying is that I've had a lot of these relationship transformations over the last, 6 years. And one of them in particular was someone that I've been friends with for nearly 10 years. And this is why I wanted to share this story, was that we have drifted apart in our values and beliefs. And around the time that I became a mum, my son turns 2 next week, I could see that they had some, not so helpful beliefs around when people in their life have become pregnant and drifted away. So I could already sense that I was being put in a box in related to their experiences with going through that, as opposed to seeing what the other person's going through and offering their support. Because when you become pregnant, your energy, you start to create this little nest egg and really need supportive energy in there. And if anything is sort of penetrating or uncomfortable, you really need to, that was where I really learned how to put up my no boundary, because I became a mama bear, and you get very protective about how the energy in your space is, because you just don't have enough energy to give to other people. So long story short, with this friendship, I realized that I was a completely different person after birthing, not only my son, but myself. And it was really important to revisit the values that this original friendship had been created on. Now, you can use this in a love relationship, you can use this in other friend relationships, you can use this with colleagues. You are not bound like a prenup to serve this person or be with them your whole life. Now, the reason I say that is that you may have heard before that some people are in our lives for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I found that my particular journey in general, I tend to find that people don't always stay for very long. I do have some very strong relationships in my life, but just the way that my life path seems to flow out, that I had this fear of losing people. And these some terms that I'll teach you from the tree of suffering, these 5 stems of human suffering. I believe it's the third one is Raja, which is attachment, and Devesha, which is aversion, where we try to attach to things that feel good for us and try to avoid uncomfortable situations that bring us pain and suffering. So for me, I was afraid of losing this friendship that I'd spent so much time cultivating. But I could see that some of the language that was being used, there was disrespectful tendencies, especially around, double standards that was happening. And it was no longer appropriate for me to continue entertaining this friendship, because it wasn't good for me and my life. And this person definitely wasn't learning their lessons. And that's why it's also really important, because it's not just about you setting a boundary for yourself, that when you set healthy boundaries, you give an opportunity to the other person to see where they can learn and grow also. But if you don't set it because you're afraid of something happening, they're not learning anything either. So just remember that too. So with this friendship, I sat down and said, look, we've been friends for a long time, but I really need to bring some stuff up. And I basically listed out and said that this is what I need in a friendship now, as opposed to when we first met. Because I was a totally different person. I was in my early 20s when I met this person, and then I was in my early 30s by the time that we were having this conversation. And I did it really respectfully and just said, look, this is what I really need in a friendship. And I understand if this feels confronting, but I have to be honest. Now, I didn't know how this was going to go. I just knew that I had to speak my truth and came from the heart and did it in a loving way. And it's always really important when you're having a conversation like this to make sure that you come into your heart and that you are speaking from your heart, or write something down and practice it out before you potentially have a confronting conversation if you're not sure if you can really hold space being in front of the other person or on the phone, for example. And the way that this situation went for me, the other person blew up, and a lot of, you're manipulative and projecting and all these different things that were going on. And I just said, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but this is what I really need in a friendship right now, given my situation. I really do wish you all the best. I'm sorry that we couldn't come to terms with this. But I walked away from it with peace in my heart, because I knew, and a friend said this to me yesterday, all these themes that are coming out right now, if you know that you've given 100% and you've given it your best go, and there's nothing else that you think that you could have done, it's easy to let it go, that it's okay to walk away. And that's part of the letting go process, that it's okay. And knowing that if this is no longer serving you, that once your cup is empty, something new and the next lesson or the next friendship is going to come in, because the cup needs to be filled. And the universe has a divine plan, and they will bring people in to help you with that. But it's the only part that you really have to play is the making decisions, because you've got free will. We all have karma that we're playing out, but we can stay in the same karmic patterns because we're afraid to work through them, or we can make choices to align with our higher self. Two really important words is sukh and dukh, is happiness and unhappiness. I said to my husband in the car this afternoon, I said, make me one promise. Always choose happiness. And I'm not talking about stomping over people so that they're not happy but you are. I'm saying that always align with your higher self, regardless of whether it's going to, dissolve situations around you, whether it's marriage, co-workers at work, or work situations, any sort of situation in your life. Always choose your happiness, because you're always going to end up in a better place than if you just stay and just try and grit your teeth and try and get through it. So this is what boundary setting is about, is that knowing what your values are so that you can evolve and grow. If you think about, any friendship or a marriage, for example, when you're 18 compared to when you're 80, there is going to be so much difference, and situations that have happened where we have to transform and evolve over time. If you think about a marriage where children come in there, different values are going to come out, and needs as a result of that. Around friendships where you might find that you don't have as much time for other people, and you've got to try to work with that and compromise in these situations, but doing it in a really healthy way is going to support your relationships at this time. So the last things I really wanted to say was that you can also do, if you find that you're not sure how something's going to go when you're using your no wand, because it's just so freeing when you come to the point that you're prepared to look at yourself and go, okay, this is something I'm really scared of. I didn't really want to look at the reality. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't need to know what's going to happen. All you need to do is speak your truth and come from your heart, and then let it go. That's all you need to do. But the next thing that you compare that with is the Ho'oponopono meditation, where we say, I'm sorry that this has happened. Please forgive me for judging you, that you are less than, the light that we both share as collective consciousness. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you for this experience that we've shared together and the lessons that I've learned. I love you, knowing that you and them are the same. There is no separation between you, even though it looks like it is. So those are a couple of tools that I use when I'm working with these situations, and that, yeah, when you're able to come to the place of just understanding that we are all connected anyway, regardless of whether a person leaves, you'll notice that when you enter a new situation, once you've gone through this process, if you've ever walked away from a friendship and just said, you know, I'm really sad that it didn't end great, but I know that I did my best. Or you might go back and say, I mean, I've done this in the past before, where I've said, you know, I just wanted to apologize. Because I was really disappointed in the way that I handled the situation. I'm not trying to, you know, bring up old wounds and stuff, but you can heal that. You don't even need to necessarily contact the person. You know, I've got other relationships like that where I know that it's not necessarily healthy to speak to the person one-on-one, but you can do a healing any time of the day where you just send love from your heart to that person, and knowing that you are all connected. And I like to think sometimes that maybe we made contracts before we even incarnate on earth, where somebody puts up their hand and says, oh, I'll do that really difficult lesson for you. So even though you're going to forget that we made this agreement, that when we incarnate on earth, that I will be that person to help teach you how to boundary set. So it really gives you this situation of going, oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that I've learned how to say no. And it all happened because I had this situation with this person. Even though you're not going to continue that journey with said person into the future, you know that they've played a really big role in helping you awaken to this new understanding of compassion and forgiveness, and ultimately connection to source, knowing that we're all connected. So I really hope that this has helped. These are some of the tools that I've learned over the last couple of years through yoga teacher training and my travels and journeys around the world. And yeah, just learning how to say no through my own experiences, where I used to be a chronic people pleaser and didn't know how to say no. And funnily enough, I mean, I'll chuck in some Vedic, you know, zodiac wisdom here, some Vedic Jyotish wisdom. I'm an Aries ascendant, and I think typically when you look at memes that happen, a lot of people think, oh, Aries, they're so hot-headed and all this stuff because they're ruled by Mars. But I actually find that I was born, you know, kind of timid, shy, feeling like I didn't really have those skills. And I just noticed that as I'm getting older and growing into myself and walking that path, that journey, I'm learning to step into that fieriness and go, no, you know, that I don't need to use it in an unhealthy way. But I really do feel that each of us, whatever our ascendant is, that we're learning to become the balanced version, the highest version of that self, as opposed to when it's totally out of balance. I mean, it could go the other way where it's just so angry, for example, and learning to step into love more so. But we're all coming to the same place. We might be on other ends of the spectrum, but we're all learning to come back into that one place. All right, so I'll leave it there. I hope this has been helpful. Leave a like if you found it supportive. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you can see my other videos when they pop up, and you're welcome to share this with others that you might find it's helpful towards, especially given the time that we're in at the moment, where we're learning to appreciate others and their opinions and their beliefs and live in harmony together, because this is what we're doing right now. We're shifting into a new reality where we can all be in the same place, and realizing that there really is no separation between us, regardless of opinions and beliefs, race, gender, you know, etc., etc. There is no separation. So lots of love to you, blessings, and namaste. See you in the next one.